it means that you're in a problem where if you can create a solution, people can see the value that you're giving and they can pay you for that solution. Most people don't appreciate the fact that there is a life after earning. And that life after earning, you'll also need to survive the way you're living when you are earning.
Okay.
You see? And most of us don't think about the future. If passion doesn't meet purpose, then I think it's misplaced, and you will, like what we said, you'll be climbing
the ladder
up on a ladder, but along the wrong wall.
Yeah.
Yes. When I pray nowadays, when we sing "Deliver us from evil," I actually replace the word evil with poverty.
Deliver me from poverty.
First thing, we move from that happy slave mentality.
Happy slave mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That as long as my master is giving me bread,
I'm comfortable. Shalom, beloved. This is your brother and your friend Eric Mungai bringing to you the Epic Show. This is a place where faith, the stories of faith and resilience and impact come to life. At the Epic Show, we endeavor to bring you conversations that are so cerebral, challenging, so that you can be able to see your life in a different perspective. All right. So today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. I was in a matatu one day and I saw a sticker that when poverty comes through the door, love escapes through the window. So we're going to be talking about financial matters. But before then, special thanks to Jerica Hotel. They're located in Nakuru Town, Nakuru County, near Langalanga. They have serene environment, in-room services. The rooms are spacious. They have a big garden, whether if you want a public event, big conference halls. Tafadhali, the numbers are on your screen. If you really need their services, reach out to them and you will be glad that you did it. Now, we are hosting one of our favorite financial consultants. He's been here before. He's not a mere guest to you, I know. And majority of you desired him back on the YouTube channel. And by the way, if you have not subscribed, kindly, this is the time to do that, so that you do not miss on everything that we are releasing. Every week, we have different content. Tafadhali, like, subscribe, let the ringing bell be able to alert you anytime that we post a new content. And tafadhali, engage us hapo kwa comment section. Tell us what kind of topics would you like us to be engaging in, and so forth and so on. So without further ado, help me welcome Joseph Kananu, a brother I've come to love. He's so well versed on matters finance. He's the leader at Ufalme Wetu. And I hope you have been visiting their page to see some of the things that they are doing. But without further ado, karibu sana, my bro, Joseph Kananu.
Thank you.
It's good to have you in the show.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how have you been?
I've been good. I've been admiring the work that you're doing. Endelea hivyo hivyo. And as I always tell also my viewers, like the effort that you put into making one episode, it's so much.
It's a lot.
And he makes it, even if it's for just that one subscriber, even if it's for that one person who will watch, that they'll gain value from it. So the best thing that you can do to reward him and to make him feel at least, his work is not in vain, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll be glad that you did.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. So today we're going to be talking about converting your seed into wealth. Converting your seed into wealth. And it's good we put a context to this, because majority of Christians wakisikia ni seed washatoka, they've logged out, wanaonekana ni mbegu. Now we are taking offerings. When you're talking about seed, we are talking about your potential. We are talking about the talents. All right, we are talking about the gifts. We are talking about the skills that God has given you. You see, none of us is without a skill. None of us is without a talent. None of us is without potential, because God is omnipotent and we all hail from God. So there is a God-given gift in each and every one of us. What our financial consultant, Mr. Joseph, is going to be doing today is to help us bring this seed into monetary value. How do we use this seed to bring wealth? Karibu sana, my brother.
Thank you. It's also a good thing that you've started this conversation from a biblical point of view, because I try as much as possible to understand that life is spiritual. Finances are spiritual. And I'll give two verses, maybe for the next 5 minutes, let me preach.
Sure.
2 verses.
Take the mic.
One is First Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Everyone knows. What does it say?
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Okay, most people like to read it up to that point. When you're talking about, when you're doing everything, put God first. You say in the beginning, God. But what comes next after God?
Created.
Now, I'm paraphrasing someone else because I heard this and I thought it was very powerful and I should share it. When you meet someone for the first time, what you tell them about you is what you most likely want them to know about you. Isn't it? When you meet someone for the first time, and if you're meeting maybe in, let's say, such a situation or such a setting, you'll tell me about Impact, what you do at Impact and everything about that. You won't tell me about your passion for football and such things. You'll tell me what you want me to know about you. But what then does it mean that when we meet God the first time, the first thing he tells us about himself is that he created.
Wow.
That in the beginning, God created. And then he put through, he put his being in us by creating us in his own image and likeness. Meaning that the one trait about God that everyone has is that every one of us is a creator.
Just like our God.
We are not, because the Bible says clearly, first God created the creation, the rocks, the trees, all that. Then he created the creatures, things in the sea, things that fly, the animals, those are creatures. Then he created man. He created another creator.
To take charge of the creation.
I
love that.
So, meaning basically that when we talk about this seed, we're talking about actually having God's glory in us, God's manifestation in us. But why then don't we make it, or take it out, monetize it, and get money or value out of it?
Wow.
Because already we have that seed.
Yes, it's in you.
Okay. The second verse I want to preach about is in the book of Hosea, chapter 4. A lot of us like to quote about it when we're talking about knowledge. Where the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. And as we said earlier, life is very spiritual.
That's true.
The Bible likens knowledge to light.
Say that again.
The Bible likens knowledge to light. And darkness to ignorance. And who is the prince of darkness?
The devil.
So what does the devil do? He comes to kill, steal, and
destroy.
And how does he destroy us? By helping us, or keeping us in ignorance, keeping us in darkness.
Oh, is that the reason as to why the Bible says the entrance of your word brings light?
Exactly. Brings knowledge, revelation.
Yes.
Wow,
that's perfect. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And, there's someone else who said that, when you want to succeed, the first thing you do is get knowledge. And then the second thing you do is pray. Because getting knowledge gives you the light. Prayer gives you the revelation. So we have the seeds, we have the abilities, we have the potential, we have the power. But because of ignorance, we're in darkness. We're being destroyed.
Illuminate our hearts. How do we turn this? Because you see, King Solomon observed something and he said, I have seen an error. It's almost an error that the kings, the princes, are walking barefoot. No, is it that way? The slaves, who are the children of the world, are walking on horses' backs, on chariots.
Yes.
But the kings are barefoot. And that's more like it in the kingdom of God.
Exactly.
Christians are struggling. Christians are suffering. They are in debts. Yes. But the people of the world, WRC.
Yes, because basically what I want us to discuss about today is how then can we be able to like move from poverty, from that level of ignorance? How can we be able to illuminate our minds to get knowledge? How can we then be able to apply that knowledge to create something?
Help
then
us.
From that creation that we've created, we get money from it.
We are ready for you. We are ready.
So the other thing that I want us to maybe be able to conceptualize is in Kenya today, do you know the way that the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics keeps statistics? They say about 10% of the population, 10% of the households in the population earn 25,000 shillings and more.
Above 25%?
No. Only 10% of the
Only
population.
10% of the population.
And
so if you are 50 million in Kenya.
Yes.
So only 5 million.
Only 5 million
are earning above 25,000 a month.
Every month.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
See, majority wako to scrapping.
Exactly. So the majority is 90%.
Yeah.
90% meaning the whole household cannot be able to get more than 25,000 shillings. So we're talking about a 90% that is trying to scrap through life.
Yeah, that's true.
But there is also another percentage that is not usually discussed called the destitute poor.
The destitute poor.
Yes.
You know, kuna maskini hohe hahe na kuna maskini hana hohe na hana hahe. Are these the people you're talking about?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
So you can imagine your maskini when
hana hohe na hana hahe.
like
those are the destitute poor.
Destitute poor. They poor in money, like they don't even operate in money. The economy doesn't even operate in money. Because he's either, you can't, when you say even hand to mouth, it means there's something going to the hand, then it goes to the mouth. But this one, literally nothing. They're just waiting either to die or,
What percentage is that?
About 5%.
Oh boy. That's a big percentage.
Exactly.
We are 50 million in Kenya.
We are 50 million in Kenya.
So if we are talking about 5%, we are talking about almost a million.
It's more.
It's more than a million.
It's 2.5.
It's 2.5 million
Yes.
people.
Yes.
That's a heavy population.
That's a heavy population. But not the worst part is now the in between that population and now what would be considered the rich. Because if you're earning 25,000 and more, you're somehow in the lower middle class, the upper middle class, and the high net worth individuals. So there is an 85%
that is really struggling.
That's really struggling.
Yani they are in a rat race.
Even rats don't visit.
Is it a rat race?
Yeah, you mean a rat race where you just
you're just there
paying the bills and everything. Yeah, and so it also happens that now this 10% control about 90% of the resources.
Again, it's unfair.
Yeah.
Already, these people are oppressed by the economic status.
Yes.
Now they don't even have a voice. These 10% again
control everything, 90% or almost everything. And this is how it goes. Anyone who is either poor, poor, like, look at the things that they use. Things like maize flour, things like kerosene, things like the mafuta ya kupika and all that.
The basics.
Yeah. So they get their money, but where do they take it after that? They take it back to the top percentage.
Because they're the owners.
Because when you go to buy kerosene, who are you buying it from?
From the 10%.
When you go to buy that mafuta ya kupima, whom are you buying it from?
The 10%.
Exactly. And that's why now they'll always remain at that level and the rich will always get richer.
Oh, it's like, man, they are caged.
Yeah. And it's somehow, you come as I've studied a little bit of economics, you come to first you try to look for ways to solve that situation. How can I solve the income discrepancy problem? How can I solve the income inequalities with Kenyans or maybe around the world? And you start thinking the rich are bad because they are doing all these things to the poor. They do not pay them well. They are doing all that. We expect politicians to go and maybe make the poor richer, but they can't. So somehow it's an economic situation that follows its own laws, and so it has to exist. Whether you like it,
it's a survival for the fittest,
or not, it has to exist. There always has to be the rich, there has to be the poor.
Always. That's why Jesus said the poor you always have with you.
Yes.
Oh.
It always has to be that way. There always has to be the rich and the poor.
Okay.
But now, what about the poor who listen to this message, who get illuminated, who move from the ignorance that we're talking about, and then they try to become part of the 10%? Because that is, we have to accept the fact that we cannot carry everyone from this side to this side.
That is true.
We can't carry.
Not everybody can cross.
Exactly. In the life that this video will, it will be on YouTube for a long time. But I can assure you, maybe only 10% of the people we are trying to target will be able to reach it. Why? Because already they are ignorant.
Oh boy.
They're illiterate. And they don't even know
that they need this information. So we might not even reach them. But for the sake of those who are listening to us.
Yes. So that's why it's the knowledge is, you have to seek it. Even the Bible says, if you read the book of Proverbs, it says wisdom is standing at the street corner, waiting for you. Go and look for it. So it has to be an effort by you to knowledge, not the other way around.
In other words, you have to make a deliberate effort to seek relevant knowledge for whichever area. And do you know why this is important? There's a guy, a psychologist called Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow drew the
Maslow's needs.
The Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
And he's saying if you don't hack on the basic needs, all right, there's no way you can self-actuate.
Exactly.
So majority of us, you can talk to people about purpose.
Yes.
You can talk to them about vision. But at the end of the day, mtu akifika kwake, anaulizwa, where are the diapers? They have already forgotten about the pamper because I have to fix this thing right here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it's very important for you. Unaona hata niko na kalamu na karatasi. Tafadhali, let's get out of poverty.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to be a creator. And being a creator means I fully encourage these people. They're calling themselves the creative economy. And we have...
Who are calling themselves that?
The artists, the TikTokers, the content creators, but I think thinking that creation is just about content is very wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
And everyone thinking that if they want to be a creator, they have to create content and be considered as content creators is also actually very wrong. Because creation simply means you have to come up with an idea. And there's someone who said this, that ideas exist independent of you thinking them.
What do you mean by that?
Whatever you want to, nothing is ever new under the sun. Whatever you want to do either has been done or it's being done somewhere. So it's up to you to look at this situation you are in, the problem that you want to solve, borrow an idea from somewhere, and create a solution. That's creation. Because let me ask you a question. Like for instance, I usually deal with organizations that want maybe to make returns for taxation, for all these. And I can tell you, if you want the services of a certified public accountant, a CPA, just to get the stamp, you will pay not less than maybe 40,000 shillings.
Just for the stamp?
Just for the stamp. But if you want a sweeper, someone to sweep for you, if you want a cleaner, you can get someone you can be able to pay even as low as 100 shillings.
That's true.
Why? Because one is in great supply.
The other one is in
Short supply.
short supply.
One has invested in knowledge, in time, and in, doing whatever they do. One, there's no investment in that because anyone can be a cleaner.
So indirectly, what I hear you say is that we have to really invest in ourselves.
Yeah. You have to create something. It means you have for something to come out of it. There has to be something that has been in you, which is knowledge, which is the illumination that you're talking about. So when you are in a situation as bad as it might look like, it means that you're in a problem where if you can create a solution, people can see the value that you're giving and they can pay you for that solution.
Wow, that is very key.
Yeah.
Because you started somewhere that you said God created the firmaments,
Yes.
the sun and all that.
Yes.
And then there's the creation. Then there's the creator.
Yes.
So already we have to operate with the mind that we are already creators.
Exactly. Yeah.
We are not beggars.
Yes.
Already,
Yes.
God has made us as creators, co-creators with Him.
With Him. And you see, after He created the creation and the creatures, how come He put into them a mechanism that they can be able to reproduce? Like for instance, for a forest to be there, it needs just one tree to produce a fruit. That fruit to produce seeds, and those seeds to germinate to form other trees. Those are the trees to produce other. So one tree to God is a forest. Yes.
One tree to God is a forest.
Yes.
That's why you gave us the analogy last time,
Yeah.
that it is only God knows how many oranges will come from one seed.
Yes. Any fool can count how many seeds are in an orange, but only God knows how many oranges
are in
that
one seed.
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect.
Because the potential is unlimited. That's what it means.
That is profound.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to identify a gap.
Yes. A gap or a problem, and then create a solution to that problem.
Say that again.
We identify the problem, then we create the solution to that problem.
When you say that,
Yeah.
Africa is the easiest place to be rich.
Yes, definitely.
Because you have a lot of problems.
Yes, a lot of problems and the resources to solve those problems. But again, remember, as we said, there is also this, I would call it conspiracy in a way because it has never been proven. But the system works to maintain that status quo. The system wants there to be workers.
And when we're talking about the system, is like a 10%.
Not really
Majority of the time, they just want
to... because let me a historical backdrop. In the 1950s all the way to around 1990s, there used to be this thing we used to call Cold War. Cold War basically meant that the capitalist nations, the nations that were for capitalism, were fighting or opposing the nations that were for communism.
That's true.
Communism was now this thing where everyone is equal, let the state own everything, and everyone will be paid equally. That was communism. And Africa was in the middle. That is, countries that were colonizing Africa were trying to impose their system.
Yes.
So because we are colonized by the British and all that, so they put into us capitalism. And
that is their system.
That is their system. And capitalism means you privately own something and you can own as much as you want of that something. And so what happened is when our leaders, the founders who started the nation, when they started, they didn't think in a socialist or in a communist way. Let us distribute this equally.
No, they thought in a capitalist way.
Yeah, let me
amass
as much as I can.
Yeah. That is the curse of Africa.
Yeah.
Let me amass as much as I can.
Let me get as much as I can. So that system has been now operating. That's why there is always the dynasties, the people who have a lot, and there's always the poor. Yeah.
Wow. So you have said That's an amazing point, that we should be able to find ourselves as the creators.
Yes.
We identify a need.
Yes.
Remember, we are talking about converting your seed into wealth.
Into wealth, yes.
All right. So Jose told us that already you have to operate with a mindset that you are a co-creator with God.
Yes.
Sindio,
yes.
You have the potential in you. So when you identify a problem, come up with a solution.
Yes.
And solve
that solution. So by solving that solution, you are creating value.
You are creating value.
And people are paying you for that value. The same way, when a sweeper comes here, they pay them for that value. Yes, you have swept, but I could have gotten anyone else to do the same.
So there's no more value.
There's no more value here adding that any other sweeper would have.
So in a nutshell, that point number one, in a nutshell, stop seeking success. Seek to become a person of value.
Exactly. Say that again.
Stop seeking success. Seek to become a person of value. Because even success is seeking for value.
Yes.
Wow, that's perfect. That's amazing.
Yeah. So now let's try and give maybe 3 concepts that anyone can apply so that they can be able to maybe move from that level. Because this can also be applied by even the destitute poor.
Yeah, like a 5%.
Like a 5%. It doesn't have to be left to the 10% to the extra rich. And the first one, I would put it this way. Maybe we'll try to explain it in simpler terms. But we should now seek production tools instead of just credit.
Seek production tools instead of just credit.
Yes.
Please explain that.
Okay. For instance, right now, if I ask, if we take a survey, we will look for 10 people in the streets and ask them who has a credit facility with maybe a phone app or a bank on all that. You'll get probably 9 out of 10 have a loan somewhere. They have a deni somewhere. But what did they take that deni to do? To consume. To put it in a very basic way, let's put it this way. You have access to 2,000 shillings somewhere, right? Yes. And you go and make your hair. So you've consumed. Yes. But if you'd have looked maybe let me just give a very basic example. If you have looked for that big thermos yenye watu zungusha coffee nayo. Cooked coffee for the evening or tea and wanze kuzungusha town wakati kunanyesha. So meaning to you now that coffee flask and those cups, it's a production tool. But when you went and made your hair or bought a seat or a TV or even a phone for just playing games and watching TikToks, that was for consumption.
Or even the same thermos, and you take it at home.
Yes.
To wait for guests who are coming once in a year.
That is consumption, not a production tool. So now when we change our mindset to what am I spending money on? Is it for consumption or is it a production tool?
You're challenging us.
Because I've seen people move from destitute to poor, and the moment you give them credit, the first thing they buy is a cow. That cow, they're able to milk and provide milk to the neighbors.
So there's a need they have addressed.
Yes.
And created a demand.
Yes.
For people to start seeking for their services.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when now they start milking this cow and selling this milk, it means now they have a steady flow of income.
Yes.
They're able to pay the loan and upgrade their life from that level of destitute poor to another level of poor that is not destitute.
So we are seeking production tools, not just credit.
Yes. Because I'm sure even now, if we were to meet somewhere and I was poor and I saw you and I thought of approaching you, if I came to you and I borrowed you 1,000 bob, and if I came to you and borrowed you maybe a car washing machine, Even if the car washing machine is more expensive, maybe it costs 10,000 or more, you'd rather give
I'll
me
be
that.
motivated to give you the car washing machine.
Yes.
Because that's
A production.
It's like I have taught you how to fish.
Exactly.
Instead of giving you a fish.
They're 1,000 shillings.
Because that's a production tool.
Yes.
And this production tool can be anything.
Can be anything that you create or you think of, it can create value for you.
For example, let me give this analogy, a layman analogy. Someone takes a loan and buys 85-inch TV.
Yes. Yeah.
Aeka kwa nyumba. All right?
Yes.
To be able to wait for when the in-laws are coming.
Yes.
And they take picture posing next to the TV because it's
TV.
Yeah, because our son made it in town.
Yes.
Another person buys the same TV, but gets a movie show out of that.
Yes.
So every time there's a Premier League, there are like 100 people
who pay to come and watch.
This is the same tool.
Yes. But for one person, it's for consumption. The other person, it's a production tool.
Wow. That's so profound.
Yeah.
That's so profound.
And right now, even our smartphones, anyone can be able to turn that into a production tool.
You know why we are giving these examples? So that you don't think about production tools
as
like
a big factory with
big factory,
expensive machines.
I have to own a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Production tools are things within our reach.
Yes.
Like for right now, if you can look at your homestead, there is a production tool at your homestead.
Yes.
Those two mandazis you make, that chapati, whatever company, that can be a production tool.
Yes.
Oh, that's so profound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then the second thing is seek skills, not papers.
Say that slowly. Seek skills.
Tafuta ujuzi, sio karatasi. And by karatasi, I mean diplomas, degrees, masters,
PhD, EDD,
PhDs, etc.
DDD.
Because how many people do you know who walk around with a brown envelope full of young people looking for employment?
Many.
But there are people who earn much more because of their skills, which could be hard skills or soft skills. Like hard skills could be things like a mechanic or a guy who works with timber, the people who make these furnitures, the people who braid hair, the kinyozis and all that. Those are hard skills. But doesn't require you to necessarily have a paper. The same way when you come to the internet space, the people who are requiring designing services, web services, like what you're doing, someone will sit down and do the editing.
Yes.
The camera guys, that is also a very crucial skill that necessarily doesn't need you to have a degree to do.
But need to be good at it.
Be good at it. Have passion. I have done a little research, and when you're doing this thing about incomes, you're trying to figure out where to place people. It's done in terms of households, and you realize most people who go to the office are in the lower middle and the poor classes, but the people who are in the Juakali sector, like mechanics, are in the upper middle class.
Oh.
In terms of income.
Hey.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because simply to make 25,000 shillings as a mechanic, that could be a day's job.
Yeah. It could be a day's job.
But as a receptionist, that's a month's job. So but how did this person become a mechanic? When he failed in class, I'm not saying all mechanics are, but I've done this as a research. You find most people, they fail in class, so what do they do next? They say, instead of wasting time at home, I'll go to this guy's mechanic shop and start helping around. So he starts as the guy who is being sent to bring the spanner.
Now it's apprenticeship.
Yes, do this, do that. The next thing, he's told hold the wheel as they're changing. Next thing, he knows how to change the wheel. He knows how to change service the car, to change the brake pads. Next thing, he knows how to work the engine. Another 2-3 years, he has his own garage.
Wow.
No papers, no degree, And now he's moved from being a destitute poor, moved to the levels of being poor. Now he's in the lower middle class.
Wow, what you're saying is so profound. You see, we run an organization called Epic Impact, and one of our main job is to empower the youths with life skills. All right?
Yes.
And this is always our slogan, that everybody is a genius in their lines of calling. When you go to do, for example, a career fair, when you go to do a career talk, majority of the kids you see there, they want to do, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, an engineer, I want to be these big things, neurosurgeon. Nothing wrong with that per se. There's nothing wrong. Actually, if you're wired to do that, congratulations.
Yes.
But guess what? There is someone else who never, for example, I have a scenario where the guy was only becoming the head from the tail. Anashindaga mwenye hakuji kufanya exam.
Yeah.
So it reached a point that he told his father, we are wasting money.
Yes.
We are wasting money. And we are not encouraging people not to study. We're just emphasizing on skill development. It's very crucial, especially for the economy we have. And even when God is creating us, he's creating for deployment, not employment. Sindio? So fast forward, jamaa kaingia garage. Alright, jamaa kaingia garage. Then drop your form 2. He came to form 4 just to do the paper.
Just to get the case.
Just to get the cases. But for these 2 years, he's learned a lot about mechanics. A lot. As an apprentice.
Yes.
All right? So fast forward, the Uhuru regime, the guy was working in Sagana repairing Gariza presidential escort.
No, he's not even in the top 1% now.
No, he's going way far.
Yeah.
Way far.
Yeah.
So this point, he has 6 skills.
Yeah.
No papers.
Not papers.
Because sometimes papers are appealing to our ego.
Yes, you just want to say something, I have a degree, I have a diploma, I have a PhD. But you're working for someone who has the certificate of the School of Hard Knocks.
Let me ask you, is this the reason as to why C students employ A students? I'm just asking. Could that be the reason?
I don't want to say that because I would be saying education is bad, but education is good.
It's very important.
It's very important,
very important
to know arithmetic, to know languages, because even one of the crucial skills that people underestimate is the communication skill.
It's like co-education.
Yeah, and yeah, because you have to know English, you have to know Kiswahili, you have to write, etc. But as it happens, you know, the system that you've gone through, education system, is such that the high performers are awarded with, you know, placement in high places, a placement in, let's say, universities to do academic and other career degrees. And they end up, when they get out of that system, with a paper, not a skill. But this student who, when they saw they can't become a doctor or an engineer or all these, they went to the streets.
Wow.
They got a skill in marketing. They got a skill in, they can sell you anything. They wanajua mashimo, you know, those skills that we say now, this person is street smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and when they do that, they create these enterprises. And since now these enterprises need managers and administrators, then they have to look for these people with the certificates.
Wow, interesting conversation. So we've talked about, just a recap, if, in case you're just joining us, be a creator, stop thinking, seek production tools, not just credit, and then seek skills. Not papers. And it is not that you can have papers and have skills, you can have both.
Yes.
And
but you see, we're not saying that don't seek papers, but when you're seeking this paper, look, are you getting a skill out of it?
Or you're just running for that accreditation?
Yes, because like right now, I'd rather be good at coding just by being self-taught than have a degree
in coding and you don't know.
Yes, exactly.
You know, before you go to the next point, there's something I had Apostle Nganga say. So you know Apostle Nganga, and then the evangelist, this trending man of God. He said, kabla uenda university, hebu jiulize, hiyo roho ya chenye unasoma iko ndani yako. So So what he was asking, yes, you are doing actuarial science. Are you really wired for this? Are you passionate about it? Are you going there to hone that which is inside of you, or you are just going there to obtain a paper?
Most people to obtain a paper. And that system was very much rewarding, especially to the people who came after independence.
But it's no longer rewarding.
Workers, banks needed employees and all that. But right now, we are living now, this is where now the creators will be made manifest.
This is the dispensation of the creators.
Exactly.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Those are powerful 3 points.
Yes.
Yeah, keep liberating us. Keep liberating
the
us.
next one, it will involve a lot of us coming together. And I call it distributing resources across the pyramid, not upwards.
Distribute resources across
the pyramid, not upwards.
Explain that.
You talked about the Maslow pyramid. Now, if you look at the wealth pyramid, the top 1% or the top 10% are here, and the biggest of the population form the base of the pyramid.
That's true.
So the biggest of the population that are poor, the destitute poor, maybe even in the middle income categories, they form the largest base of the pyramid. But the very first illustration that we gave, what happens when these people at the bottom of the pyramid get money? They take it back to the top 10%. But what if there was a mechanism whereby we could be able to distribute these resources amongst ourselves instead of taking everything back up? Yes. And this could be by creating local industries and supporting those local industries. Because we have a problem, especially with the middle class. I'll put it as a problem, and it's a problem of ego. That you want to shop at the best malls, you want to dress for the best designers, you want to do this. Yet, there are people in this pyramid that are tailors, and they're able to make very nice clothes. There are people in this category who produce soap.
No, I get your point.
Who produce fruit juices, who produce all these things that we usually need, but instead of buying from them, we buy from the 1%.
Do you understand the magnitude of what you just said? Do you know the larger percentage wako hapa?
Yes.
Because that's only 10%.
Yeah, this is 90%.
And this is 90%.
Yes.
So if this 90% decides, okay, hatutapeleka to the highest, all right? We have wholesalers, we have these tailors, we have these guys who will give us the services that we could have received over there.
Yes.
But let us empower them.
Exactly.
Wow, that could distribute a lot of resources.
Yes, and it looks good in theory, and that's where now the practicability becomes a problem, because maybe when you talk in the next session, I'll try to prove. When you talked about the 85-inch TV, how much would it cost?
Roughly, maybe 100. Let's say 100 Gs.
100,000. Yeah. Do you know it also, in terms of wealth, and wealth is measured in terms of time, do you know by consuming that item now might mean taking 1 year away from your life later? Yeah? But that should be in the next session. Because most people don't appreciate the fact that there is a life after earning. And that life after earning, you'll also need to survive the way you were living when you are earning.
Okay.
You see? And most of us don't think about the future. So we spend and spend and spend and spend when we are earning, and on things that are just consumer things. And I'm saying maybe if we change that mentality, and whatever spending we are spending on, maybe we spend it on the people at this level, what if it's for consumption, if it's for production tools, whatever it is, but we spend it within ourselves. Yeah. So that will also create an economic stimulus, because there'll now be money circulating in the economy. Because you know what happens? Let me give you a very simple example. Your child is chased away from school. In a scenario where there's no circulation of money, that child will stay at home. But let's assume there's circulation of money. What will you do? You'll take a gunia of maize from the store and sell it. When you sell it, the person who has a hotel or a portion mill will have money, so they'll buy it. So you'll have money. So the person who has now the portion mill and whatever, now he'll be able to siaga unga, and because people have money around the economy, they'll be able to buy the same. So, but what if there is no money, if that person, the person who bought that sack of maize did not have money? So your child would have stayed at home.
Yes.
So there is power in money circulating in the economy, such that if these 1,000 shillings can circulate to so many people and solve so many problems.
I get that.
There is that joke that is given around, it's been going around the internet, whereby there are three people. I owe you 100 shillings, you owe that person 100 shillings, that person owes me 100 shillings. What do we need to solve that problem? Just 100 shillings. I pay you, you pay this person, this person pays me, we're done.
So our main problem is just 100 bob.
Yes, but when you look at it at a great scale of things, mimi nitasema kuna mtu akona deni yangu ya 100, wewe utasema kuna mtu akona deni yako ya 100, another person. So it looks like there is 300 shillings that we need from somewhere. But in real sense, it's just 100 shillings.
It's 100 shillings.
Yes.
But when it is circulating.
But when it is circulating. So the reason why it doesn't circulate it, when we take this money back to the 10%, these people now save that money. They buy stocks, they save it in the money market funds, they take it abroad. So they have wealth, but we are the ones who are supplying them to aid to them. They only supply to us wages for labor.
Oh, God.
When we get paid, we take it back to them.
Wow. Wow. So the gap is increasing.
The gap has to increase.
The gap keeps growing.
Yes.
But again, if I ask myself, because of the ego, I cannot allow myself to have a Benz. Na nene nikapark kwa wholesale ya jirani, nifanye shopping ya 15,000. I want to push a trolley. What is
that's what I said.
That's where the practicability
exactly becomes a problem.
But
now, when we look at microeconomies of, let's say, a village, let's not look at a country. You know, do you realize the reason why during like the Kibaki time there was a lot of circulation is because there was things like road constructions. So a road construction company would go to a certain and put let's say a tent or a base in a certain village. So one, they come with their labor and then they employ casuals from that area.
So there's circulation of money in that area.
The people who have come from other areas, they have to look for places to rent.
Yeah.
Now they have to eat. They have to, be entertained in the evenings.
They will have transportation.
They need transportation. So what has happened is the microeconomy of that area has just transformed because of that one money stimulating being that has come to that place.
Amazing.
So meaning also in our small levels, in our villages and all that, yes, people can be able to really change it just by trying to circulate that money within themselves. Take that money to the local dealer, to the local butcher, to the local baker, to the local farmer. Buy milk from the local guy who has cows, not from Kenyatta's family, Brookside. Yeah. And I'm just saying that for emphasis. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with Brookside. Yeah.
Wow. So we circulate money, we circulate resources across the pyramid. Wow, that's interesting. Yes. That's interesting, and that calls for intentionality. We have to be very intentional at doing that, because if you don't do it, we keep increasing the gap, and we keep
crying that
we're poor.
But we're just in ignorance, that darkness, and that's the devil's work.
Wow, that's amazing. We're learning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe to emphasize on that point, you said something that the best place to make money, it's in Africa, because of the population and the resources that we have. And if you look at the trend that is in the, we came from the what was it called, the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution. Now I would say we are somewhat in like the information age. Information age. That is, if you have information, basically it's like you have power. We used to be in days where if you wanted news, you had to wait for 7 o'clock to listen to the radio.
Yeah, but now a touch of a button. Whatever they are telling us at 7 o'clock, we already know.
You already know. You already know. So meaning platforms that had what we'd call high knowledge and high capital requirements to get into have become now almost free. Because everyone requires, maybe probably the production tool you require is just a phone, and you can become a broadcaster. You can be able to also now to consume the information that's out there. Kitambo, you required a library. That library had to have an encyclopedia. You needed to have a teacher who is well informed. You needed to go through a 4 or 5 year course. Right now, you can be able to learn anything at the comfort of your phone from the internet.
So that you're emphasizing on this, for example, this 6 skill, not proposal, not papers.
I think all of them now will like somehow align.
Yeah, align, okay.
Yeah, because I'm emphasizing on your point that the best place to make money is in Africa. Is in Africa. But we look at it, it's happening the other way around. People are looking for opportunities to go and work overseas. People are looking for opportunities to go and become house helps in Gulf or some other areas, or experts in some other countries. But if we can be able to nurture what we are able to create and use these platforms that we are seeing now have low knowledge and low capital requirements to enter, then I believe anyone can be able to create something, can be able to market whatever he has created, because now there is an audience, and that audience, they are requiring you just to solve a problem, and they'll pay you for it.
That's amazing. That's amazing to say. I want you to talk to me about, these are powerful points. We are creators. We seek production tools, not just credit. We seek skills, not just papers, and then we start distributing these resources across the pyramid. Yeah. Now, from where we started, how important is my passion? Passion on what I want to do, passion on the skill that I want to develop. How relevant is that? I want you to help me answer that. And another question I'd like to pose to you is, how can we have a mental shift? Because it's almost as though we have learned helplessness.
Yes. I think I have really come to think of that point critically about passion. Because people say, do what you're passionate about, do what you're passionate about. But if passion doesn't meet purpose, then I think it is misplaced, and you will, like what we said, you'll be climbing the ladder up on a ladder, but so along the wrong wall. Yeah, because people confuse passion with comfort. Like, if I can be able to do something that is easy, that requires little or no attention, like I've heard people say, I'm passionate with farming. But the reason why they are saying that is because they want to send money to someone in the village, do the planting for them,
they
harvest
don't want
for
to
them.
do the dirt work.
And then send the money back. But those stories always go horribly wrong. So most people confuse passion with ease. But I would try to put it this way. If your passion is your purpose, then by all means go for it.
Okay.
And how do you discover your purpose? Like, for instance, how did you discover that what you're doing is your purpose? Yeah. Like, how did you discover?
I discovered when we are doing mentorship to these young kids, purpose discovery, we use at least 3 pointers. All right. For example, what is my potential? You see, we talked about being co-creators. We are creators.
Yes.
So we are wired with unique gifts, skills, and talents.
Yes.
And everything God wired us with is a pointer to what He desires us to do.
Yes.
For example, I don't have the wealth of knowledge on finances like you do.
Yes.
All right? While growing up, I didn't like mathematics. I bet you did because you're an accountant.
Yes.
Yeah. So your mind was wired to be a financial consultant.
Yes.
That's your wiring. I love different things. So what are the potentials in a person? What are these things that you can do really with a lot of ease?
But
what is this divine endowment? That is one of the pointers I use. You say?
Well, let me give you 2 points that I don't want them to contradict you, but I want you to explain from them.
Yes.
Right now, financial advisors could be some of the best paid people, like the CEOs of big companies, the CFOs and all that. So they're in an office somewhere, but I'm here. I'm always in the field. Yeah. Like, how come my passion is not to be in the office earning the big money, to be the CFO of a big blue chip company?
Now that probably takes me to the next P.
Okay.
I told you we operate with 3 Ps.
Okay. Yeah.
The first one is potential.
Yeah.
All right. The second one is what provokes you, or your pain points.
Yes.
So the reason as to why you might not be with the CFOs in big organizations is because you are provoked by the amount of people who are really struggling in obscurity.
Yes.
And you have a solution, you have an information that is so relevant to bring them out of that ditch.
Yes.
You're not really motivated by the paper and by the titles and by an office near a beach.
Yes.
What provokes you is when you're walking down the streets and you see these people. You see they are being created by the same God who created you. And they're just lacking an information that is relevant.
That could unlock a lot of doors for them. Yeah.
So that might explain why you're not with the CFOs, the CEOs, and you're here empowering them for free. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
So that answers the second P. And now the third P is what we call the passion. Right?
Yes.
And we define passion as something you can do for free, but you do it so well that people are compelled to pay you for doing it. Let me explain that.
Yes.
You are here
Yes.
empowering thousands.
Yes.
Who is paying you for it?
God.
You get the point?
Yes.
But because you're so passionate about it, we can speak for hours unending, because you want to believe that there is one person across the channel who will listen to the relevant information that you're bringing on board
And act on it.
and act on it, transform their lives. That's your fulfillment.
Yes.
Are you getting
Now
the
another question. Our team are very passionate about football, and from the way we know it, all the talented, passionate footballers, only like a 0.01%
Yes.
make it to the professional levels.
Yes.
So what do you tell this person who is very passionate about football?
We always tell them your passion must meet a market demand. Because you see, when you only follow your passion, you'll be a very happy person but very broke.
Yeah.
Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
You'll be very happy. Okay, what do you love? I love dancing.
But is there money in it? Are you making money?
Is this dancing having meeting a particular need in the marketplace that you can get paid for it? Remember, passion, something that I can do for free, but I do it so well that people are compelled to pay you for doing it. Now, what you're doing here, you're doing for free. But by the end of this, there is somebody who will desire your services.
Yes.
And that now will be charged. Are you getting the point? Yes. So when you tell me you're passionate about this, you're passionate about that, is it having a market value? Is it adding value in the marketplace? That is why you said a very powerful point. You said when passion does not meet purpose, it's irrelevant.
You've helped answer that question very perfectly by giving us the 3 Ps and proving that, yes, there's so many people who will, maybe their last moment on their deathbeds, they'll regret, I wish I had lived my life differently.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Very many.
Probably they followed money, they followed fame, they followed these other things, but not their purpose.
That's true.
Yeah. So basically, I think to be able to maybe move from maybe destitute poor, sometimes I tell people, even if you're not passionate about that thing, but it will bring bread to the table.
Yes, by all means. By all means.
Do it.
By all means, you do it.
Yeah, there's nothing as bad as going home to hungry kids and telling them that I'm very passionate about football. I've been training all day. Please understand. No, they'll tell you, what
were you doing with running?
What are you doing? So this thing about passion, I have been asked, but I've never been able to explain it as well as you've done.
Okay,
so,
thank you so
much.
Thank you for that. So I asked you for me to answer.
Yes.
All right. Help me work on our mind, because majority of the time you will realize, as I said, is like we have learned helplessness.
Yes.
We really don't want ownership and responsibility. For example, a case scenario: who elected the government?
It's us.
We did. Why are we complaining? You cannot make your bed. If you make your bed, sleep on it. Sindio?
Yeah.
So we have this learned helplessness. We are so quick at blaming situations, scenarios, and I tend to think like poverty is no longer an economical state per se, it's a mindset issue. Yes. How do we work on our mind?
I think I told you earlier, like when I pray nowadays, when we sing deliver us from evil, I actually replace the word evil with poverty.
Deliver me from poverty, oh Lord.
Because poverty is the biggest evil.
I'm telling you, it's a time waster.
It's a time waster.
Poverty is a time waster.
It's a purpose killer.
It's a purpose killer, that's true.
Yeah, it's very bad.
It's a home wrecker.
Everything.
Everything bad is associated with poverty.
Yeah, and as you're saying, because of that mentality, we have this habit of handouts. People want this idea, and politicians usually like that very much. Kwa sababu, they know when it comes to, Koigua Mwere wrote a book called I Will Not Die, and he said something very profound that I remember to this day. He said that Kenyans are happy slaves.
Oh, that is true.
That they'll always line up behind whoever has the most money. They'll not look at his corruption cases.
No.
They'll not look at his
development
track records.
Nah.
But how much money is he going to give me today? The 200 bob, the 50 bobs. It's not even at your million or money that can change your life. The 50 bobs, mia mbili, thou, at most.
We are more like Esau,
yeah,
who sold the birthright because of a morsel.
Because of a meal.
Yeah.
So when he said that, and he's a big person, he's an opinion maker.
Yeah, he is.
He said that Kenyans are happy slaves. So as much as you want to transform them, they'll always go back to default setting when that time of change or doing something different comes. But at least there has been, as we are saying, this is not where the creators will be manifest. I've seen a generation that has changed. Like, I was surprised the other day, someone inboxed me on TikTok, and he asked me a very, very different question that I've never been asked. Because most people usually ask me about savings, about investing, about such kind of things. But this guy inboxed me, how are you? I went direct to the point. I need a mentor. Can you be my mentor?
Oh. Give that person 5 years.
Yeah.
They'll be a different person.
Yeah, and he said, okay, I've just left high school the other day. I didn't make a good grade to go to college or university, but I need a mentor. And I thought, when I was his age, if I had thought that way, sought a mentor, sought someone to hold my hand. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today. So as you're saying, that guy, if he follows up with whatever we shall discuss, give him 5 years.
Yeah.
He'll be far much ahead.
He'll be far much ahead
over his colleagues.
Because he's building from a foundation that has been proven, tested.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think to change the mentality, I think first thing, we move from that happy slave mentality.
Happy slave mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That as long as my master is giving me bread,
I'm comfortable.
I'm comfortable. So we move to, I want, there is also this thing that has been attributed to Nelson Mandela, but it belongs to some other author. She said that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's not our darkness, but it's our light that frightens us. So everyone, when they wake up, they know what they can be. But because of fear, because of doubt, they conform to those cocoons.
They dim their light.
They dim their light, and they're never liberated from them. Exactly. They shrink, they play small, they follow, the leaders, and their life ends up like that.
Wow.
So I feel this has been more of motivational speaking than finance.
No, it has been financial. I'm telling you the truth. It has been financial because without these basic principles, it's very difficult for you to be able to scale up to the next level. Because there's no way we can talk about investment and you don't have anything to invest. Yeah.
Content will not be relevant.
It will not be relevant. All right. So our viewers, watch out for part 2 of this. We'll be talking about now investment. Where are you investing these resources now that you have been able to harness these resources? Where exactly are you investing them? That's a powerful conversation. What's your parting shot?
My parting shot.
That's your camera.
We'll go back to the Bible. As I said, the prince of darkness is the devil, and darkness equals ignorance. If you want to be liberated from your fears, you want to be liberated from poverty, because poverty itself is evil, you must get out of ignorance. And how do you get out of ignorance? Knowledge. So the first step, you're already watching this, so you're seeking knowledge. Then work on it. The steps that you've talked about, they're simple, but if applied practically, because they are proven, they'll work for anyone.
Wow.
So see you in the next one.
Wow, perfect, God's people. That's all we had time for. But as you have heard, there's a next one, and we're going to be talking about investing. Which is the right places to invest? What will bring more returns after the investment? So special thanks to my production team led by Director Willie for making this thing beautiful, amazing, and of excellent quality, and also Jerica Hotel for giving us an ample space where we can be able to broadcast this at the comfort of your home. Special thanks to God Almighty for such an opportunity to bring a little impact into your life. And to Jose, our financial consultant, thank you so much for making time and for choosing us, vis-a-vis the CFOs and CEOs. Until next time, let's keep walking by faith. This is your brother and a friend, Eric Mungai.